Alright, so I wanted to go over the cutting board designer for anyone who wants to give it a try. Everything works except for the build button. The idea is the build will generate a materials list and step-by-step instructions on how to assemble the cutting board. But for now, we're going to go ahead and build the classic wood whisperer cutting board. And you start by adding a panel. And then you want to add the boards to the panel. In this case, we're going to be adding 4 purple heart and 4 maple. Okay, no, lost count. Then you need to set the thickness. In this case, it's 1 5/8. And then you set the width of the different boards. Once you have that done, you have your completed panel. You can close out your selected panel settings. And then you want to add the slices to the main cutting board area, which is right here. And you add it until you get the desired width. In this case, it's 17 7/8. Then we can go through and flip the pieces that we want to flip. And that is our Wood Whisperer cutting board. So we can save that. So we have it for future reference if we ever want to open it later. Now, myself, I find that the 8/4 Purple Heart is a little more expensive than the 3/4 Purple Heart. So if I make a cutting board, I like to use the 3/4 material. So to change that, we double click on the panel. We go up to here, change the thickness to 3/4. And then close the settings. But now our cutting board's all squished. But that's okay. We can add more slices and then start moving some of these around. And flip that one. So here you can see it's pretty easy to generate the same cutting board layout, but instead now we're using 3/4 inch or 3/4 inch thick material instead of 1 5/8. So we can get away with it with cheaper lumber. Then we can save this into a new file. But let's spice this up a little bit. We can add a purple heart border around the entire cutting board, easy enough. So we'll start by adding the border to the primary panel. We'll go ahead and make it the same thickness as our board thickness. We'll make it 3/4. Move it all the way up to the top. Then add one at the bottom. Then we can close out and we can see we have our border. But now we have these ugly edges over the side. And to change that, we add a new panel. And in this case, we want to add a bunch of purple heart. then now I like my boards, the end grain, to match up if I can. So I'm going to readjust these to match the same width as all the different boards here. You don't have to do that. If you have a board that's 14 3/4 thick, or if you want to break that down, do 2 7 1/2, you can do that. That's up to you. So you can do 3/4. And so then we have our secondary panel, and we can close these settings. And then we make sure we have panel 2 selected. We can add 2 slices. Then select that one and move it all the way over to the left. And there we have our Wood Whisperer cutting board with a purple heart border. And now we can save it. And that's how you make a cutting board using the cutting board designer. And with the multiple panels, you can come up with any number of different layouts and all sorts of crazy fun designs.